Hey guys, welcome back. This is episode 4 in this beginner series. Today we're going to cover focus. There's 3 primary focus modes: manual, continuous, and single. Fuji, like a lot of the things that they do it a little different. There's a switch in the front of the camera and you just can flip it: manual, continuous, and single. And how would you use this? Now, I wouldn't traditionally recommend using manual focus. Especially if you have a DSLR. I screwed up a lot of pictures when I had my Canon T3i, thinking I was shooting in manual. I thought manual meant manual focus. Well, no, manual means everything but manual focus. If people are talking about manual focus, they will say manual focus. With these new digital mirrorless cameras, that's really not the case anymore because we have what's called focus peaking. And I'm going to show you what that means, guys. I'm going to go ahead and flip it in manual, and I'm going to turn the camera. The camera's on. And what focus peaking does is it highlights the portion of the screen that is in focus. So you no longer have to rely on your perfect eyesight and accuracy to get a shot that's in focus. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this lens just to have something to focus on. Now I don't know what my distance of focus is going to be, but we'll see. All right. I don't know if it's coming up in the screen. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn this focus wheel. I have it set to blue. You see the writing on the Fujifilm lens? I think that's a 23 millimeter f1.4. See how it's starting to glow? Now on the strongest points of that blue is where it's in focus. So if I wanted to focus right on the Fujifilm logo, I would take my picture just like that, right? And it would be in focus. Now without focus peaking, I'm going to rely on my line of sight. So that's something I totally don't recommend. If you're going to shoot manual, use focus peaking and make sure your camera has focus peaking available. What a lot of people do, let me go ahead and grab it real quick. They save some money, and I did the same. And you can pick up lenses either that are designed for your camera. This is a Samyang or Rokinon 12 millimeter f2. And it's a great lens. It's very inexpensive because it doesn't have autofocus. This lens is pure manual, both focus and the aperture. But with focus peaking on the Fuji and a lot of other cameras, it allows you to use this accurately and efficiently, especially the wide angles, because on the wide angle lenses, you have a lot more things in focus. So you don't have to worry about it as much. So it's a great tool using focus peaking. It allows you to use not only lenses like this that are made for your camera, but you can use an adapter and adapt older lenses that you can buy on eBay, used from a camera store. There's a lot of very, very good glass out there for less than $100. You can search forums, look at YouTube channels. There's a lot of recommendations, and it doesn't matter if they're made for Canon, Nikon. You'll find adapters out there for like 10 or 15 bucks. And when using these manual lenses, even from another camera manufacturer, with the adapter and focus peaking, you can get really, really good photos for not a lot of money. So that's manual focus. Autofocus is what people use most of the time, myself included. And there's really 2 sides of the camp here. You have folks that will shoot in continuous all the time or shoot in single focus all the time. I'm one that usually uses single focus. I want a little bit more control. And the idea behind the continuous focus is it's always updating. So as your subject is moving, you're locking on and you can control it. As they move, it's moving with it. So you're going to stay in focus. I don't know. It's just a preference of mine. I'm not just the way I started. So I do use it once in a while, but it's usually for a fast moving object and I'm trying to track it. So I have the camera in single focus mode, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the shutter release button. And that little square is going to light up green when I have my subject in focus. Okay. and I'm going to do it again. Now when I move the camera, that focus is locked. Doesn't matter if I come over here and take a picture, it's going to be out of focus because right here is my focus point. Okay. Now I can move that focus point or make it bigger or smaller. I can use my thumbstick and move it over, right, to whatever I want in that segment of the viewing area. Or I can make it bigger. There's a couple ways you can make it bigger and smaller. The easiest way that I've found is simply pressing in your thumbstick, and if you use this wheel right up here, if you move it to the right, it will increase the size, and if you move it to the left, it'll decrease the size, and you can still move it around as you wish. Okay, so let's now flip over from the single point focus to continuous focus. I'm just going to hit the switch. And here's the difference. Really, it works very similar, or if not the same, as the single point focus. You're still going to have the square. You can make it bigger, smaller, all that still holds true. The only difference is when I go ahead and press and hold the shutter release button, I'm not going to go all the way with it. It's focusing on my subject, which is the lens. Now I can move that further back. I'm still holding it down. See how it's updating? It's continuously grabbing new focus every fraction of a second until I fully press the shutter release button to take the photo. When would you use this? Why is this helpful? One application would be if you're shooting an event inside a church and the subject is walking towards you and you're shooting at like f1, 2, f4, a very small depth of field. Your plane of focus is like a razor. Well, every step they take towards you, your focus point is going to change. If you're trying to take a picture and get their eyes in focus, or it might be their flowers if it's a wedding or whatever you're trying to focus on. Continuous focus, you can adjust your camera and follow your subject continuously to press it and let your camera refresh until that moment that you want to take the photo. You click it and you have the photo. So that's how most people use it. If it is just a regular portrait shoot and nobody's moving, you tend to use single point, unless it's children and they're moving around or animals that are moving around. So that's the advantage of continuous focus. So guys, now that I've covered the basics, manual, single, and continuous, I'm going to show you what I use on my Fuji gear. What I've done is there's this little button over here, right here. You can press it as you're holding it, right, on your grip. I make that a autofocus lock, and I go into manual. I flip the camera in manual, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to go into the menu. I'm going to go to settings, button dial settings. And I'm going to go down to the FNAEL, blah, 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 blah. So, and I'm going to go move down just to the one down to the FN2. And you can set it to whatever you want. I set mine to AFL, okay? And I also go in and I turn my focus peaking on. I'm going to go show you how to do that. So I'm going to go into autofocus, manual focus, and it's on the second screen, I believe, yes. Focus peaking is on, and I like blue low. I have it blue high just for that screen, so it hopefully show up a little better for the video, but I tend to go blue low. Unless I'm shooting outside and there's a lot of blue, then I'll switch to red. So let me go over now. So what this does, okay, again, I have the camera set to manual. I have this button set to autofocus lock, right? And now what I can do is when I do this, it's not focusing, right? You hear that aperture? That's just the aperture closing down because it's doing the exposure. but the exposure for light, not focus, right? So this is doing nothing. When I go like that, it's exposing, but it's not focusing because I'm in manual mode. But when I hit this button that I programmed, it's going to focus. And the nice part of that is I get all the advantages of focus peaking. See that blue? I'm going to turn it so you guys can see the blue? Well, see that lights up blue? Okay, I get all the advantages of manual as well as all of the advantages of single point focus all in one. So I really like using it that way. I use that probably 90% of the time. The only caveat is you can't do it with a lens that has a clutch. This is a 23 millimeter f1.4, and there's some others. I think the 16 millimeter f1.4 does this as well. See, the manual focus is in a clutch. So if you're in manual mode, you can't do that dual scenario. But it does work on, like, what is it, the 56 millimeter 1.2. It works on the 1855 and many others. Basically, if it doesn't have a clutch, it should work for you. So that's how I use it. Well, guys, that about wraps up this video. And if you're interested in videos like this, please subscribe for more. If you have any comments or want to see something in particular, please leave it below. And again, thanks for watching.